Sorry, Hush. Yeah. All right, good morning all. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. I have an approval of the minutes of the commission meeting for July 12th, 2024.
Bob Guthrie, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bob. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Matt McNally.
Thank you, Matt. Any comment? All those in favor of the approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 All right, we'll open the floor up to public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move over to DSET project update.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stanley Dombrowski. I am the Emergency Telecommunications Manager in the state of Connecticut. I support the Director, Clayton Northgraves, who manages the statewide Emergency Telecommunications Organization. I coordinate the use of resources, technologies, and people to reach strategic goals and provide oversight and vendor management for the state of Connecticut NG911 program. NG911 laptops, the state of Connecticut has the 6 new laptops and is configuring them for cloud-based recording. They will be split for use on the Viper 2 and Viper 3 PSAPs. Rapid Deploy Eclipse Analytics and Reporting. On or about May 28th, Viper 3 PSAPs started showing an excessive number of unknown class of service calls in the Rapid Deploy Eclipse and Analytics reporting system. While the PSAP does receive credit for all answered calls, the reporting did show less wireless and more unknown class of service calls. The reason was an error in renaming a file that Eclipse uses for reporting performed during a planned maintenance event. The issue was fixed as of September 18th, and AT&T reported there was no impact to what Power 911 or MapFlex was displaying on Viper 3 PSAP consoles. Okay, moving on. Any questions on that one? The next two contain quite a bit of detail. I'll try to go slow and I'll leave some room for questions at the end. We do have AT&T support to also answer any questions that may develop from these next two sections. Viper 7, DSET leadership is working on delivering the next generation of Viper call handling equipment and software. Potential upgraded hardware includes the Intrado Edge device, including an updated Windows operating system. The next version includes features like agent roaming that allow dispatchers to log in at any PSAP to function as if they were at their primary location. Additionally, call taker to caller communications has been enhanced with PSAP initiated video. Using a secure link to the caller can send videos and pictures of the incident to be viewed on the console to better understand the nature of the event. Additionally, automatic language detection and conversion of incoming text calls, if different from the call taker's defined language, has also been presented. Additionally, there are roadmap items like voice transcription of recordings and geofencing. Geofencing provides the capability to set up a virtual perimeter on the mapping screen around the geographic location of a major incident to direct all calls from this geofenced area to a specific set of call takers. I see this as a potential way to free up dispatchers from answering multiple calls regarding the same event and to be better able to respond to other non-related events occurring at the same time. Any questions on that? Okay, the last section I have is 911 call mapping. When finalized, call mapping will receive one of the most significant upgrades to its display and capabilities since November 2017. With the optional capability to answer calls from the screen, the call taker can choose the most comfortable and efficient way to answer calls to meet their needs. The capability to upload specific building layouts and floor details as an overlay to the mapping display should be a valuable addition for the PSAP. Like on prior mapping system add-ons being investigated, this mapping system called SCS will pinpoint the near exact location of the handset of the caller wherever it is located, whether it's conventional like in a building or on a highway or even rural locations. Having all this integrated into the call handling solution and displays can reduce workstation clutter, having to have multiple keyboards and mice for each screen and third-party add-on currently being used at the larger PSAPs. That is the end of my presentation. Are there any additional questions or any questions at all? Anything we need to go back and talk about?
One quick question. Is that under contract to Viper 7? Have you already agreed to move to it?
No, not yet. So, Stan, I'll handle this one. Sorry, I gotta go get Tammy. She's here too. So we are working with DAS procurement. Oh, John, thank you. She's on the second floor. We're working with DAS procurement. We're very close to cutting a PO, but it hasn't been cut yet. So I don't want to say with 100% certainty that it's coming, but we're pretty sure that once we cut the PO, timeframe, and I apologize if Stan already said that, 16 to 18 months for complete rollout.
And both the mapping and Viper 7 are going to coincide.
Correct.
I have a question. This is Alfredo Herrera from OPM.
Yes.
So on the mapping, do you have a sense of what sources for data that the mapping portion of it is going to use and how it's going to be maintained? I know that Dan Jaya does a lot of work around mapping over at DESPI, but I just want to make sure that the GIS office can offer its services and weigh in and assist in any way possible. We have a really wide scope with mapping and GIS data, so we want to make sure that you guys are as successful as possible with the best data possible.
We appreciate that. I'll start with my, I guess, response. As you know, Dan works for us here in DSET and does have the oversight of the GIS mapping we use here as well. I believe he works with your group on the overall, I guess, broader scope of the use of all the data. So yes, we welcome your involvement and input, especially when we have choices. The PSAP as well has choices for additional overlays, such as the detail in a building, the floor layout, or anything that possibly geographical layouts, anything that we'll learn that might be useful or important as an add-on. Would love to have you a part of this as well. So sure, Dan or Tim or anybody else, you're welcome to add to that.
Yeah, I would just say count my interest in this very, very high, and in particular around addressing, but also around indoor mapping and GIS. There's a lot happening in that space. We were just at a national conference with our counterparts in other states, and that was a very hot topic of discussion about what people are doing for indoor mapping. And, suffice to say, PDFs, a PDF overlay is not sufficient.
Right. I mean, back a bit in time, we'd get various calls from universities, and a college dorm is a classic example of a lot of space, a lot of rooms, and sometimes less than ideal information on exactly where that handset or that person could be located within that layout. So I'm interested to see, that that one area of improvement and how it just gets better to know where someone might be.
Of course.
Anyone else?
Hey, Stan.
Yes, Dan, hi.
Yeah, just, it's gonna be run through our office. The nice thing with the newer system is that it's gonna be, based on like services, which is gonna make 911 updating infinitely simpler instead of having to dump actual like chunks of data into the system constantly with like vendors and stuff. The only thing that we have to consider is the security of it. So, anything that we take from outside the world, like if we can get environmental protections layers that we currently use in the system, that they have a service for, that's great, we can use it. We just have to do our due diligence to make sure that it's secure, or if we have to create our own version of it, something like that, just to make sure it's secure. But we're definitely going to be, our system now has data from all different agencies in it already. It's just that it's static data that we get on a every once in a while basis. Like we have our address points, that's what we control. Street center lines, we do those. Any sort of PSAP boundaries we do, but we have all sorts of other goodies in there. Like we have the old 2012 building footprints in there that will be updated soon. We have the parcel lines, which came from myriad sources, things like that. But we'll definitely be doing it. We just have to make sure everything is secure, so we don't introduce something into the 911 system that takes it down or something like that. But
Understood.
we will be.
Yeah, we can talk through that. I would say, let's talk through some of the automation of the integration of some of this data, because a lot of this can be automated to update periodically, even if it is an offline copy. I understand that you guys have a lot of kind of like high availability concerns, and I'm sensitive to that. So like, if you guys need to make a copy, so be it. We can help you do that, and we can help you make sure that those copies are never out of date.
One other area of interest, now that we're talking, Dan, is that extensive and revamped flyover data set of the state of Connecticut to provide all that geographic, I guess, detail looking, if you will, looking down. Would that be something, from your understanding, that could be integrated into this system, either on a PSEP level or on a global level?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's going in. I'm going to talk about this later along with Carl from the GIS office, but we're going to, that's going in. We're going to be putting that into the 911 system now, but we will be able to do it. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to double check this with AT&T, that we might be able to do that as a service also, which will make uploading it significantly easier. But it'll definitely be in the 911 system this year, but in future it'll also be in there.
Great. That sounds really exciting. Anything further on this one? Or anything else? That's it for me then. Back to you.
Thank you, Stanley. We'll move to land mobile radio update.
Hi, good morning. My name is Scott Wright. I'm the Senior Telecommunications Engineer. I work for Clayton, and my primary responsibilities are for the Connecticut Land Mobile Radio Network, otherwise known as CLEMER, that is used by an increasing number of municipalities in the state, as well as most state agencies. In the last quarter, we've been very busy on any number of different products within our space, and it has been truly an exciting time, and I'm trying to share my screen so I can share my report. And of course, this isn't cooperating. Here we go. So some statistics. I have to change the number of radios added. That is some dated information. I will change that and get back to you on that one. Some of the more significant activity is DOT. DOT continues to try to get more radios on the network as days go by. Every other week, they are busy installing more radios on the network, and it's made a dramatic change in the way they're able to do business and have safety and security of their people. One of the bigger things that's happened in the last couple of months is the C&K subsystems. Their enhancement's been complete. We have dramatically improved the capacity in both of those subsystems. The K subsystem was the first one that we did because that was most critical for the number of users. That has enabled a large number of users to expand their operation and an enhanced capacity in that area. And we're grateful to work with DOT to make that happen. The Operations Center console deployments continue. The equipment is delivered. It's currently being finalized, and that's going to dramatically improve the ability for DOT to have both operability and interoperability as well as redundancy within their network. We continue to work on the Fairfield County Demis Region 1 enhancements. There's a repeat slide from last year, from the last meeting. However, it needs to be restated. We're going from 9 sites to 18, which is going to dramatically improve coverage in Fairfield County, which is going to enable everybody down there to have better coverage. Continue with the integrations. Yale's 5 sites are on the air. They are not in service as of yet. We are working on some backhaul connectivity, both with PSDN and with microwave, continuing to work with New London, and continuing to work with mental health and addiction services. Just a little story about DOT and how we're going to enhance their operation by cooperatively working on the network. One of the more significant activities that's going on is sustainment and life cycle. This particular slide is a repeat from the last time. However, we've gotten some new information from that last meeting from Motorola, and they have given us some dates. However, we don't have any idea of cost, what the projected cost would be across the enterprise. We have asked them for that information. We have scheduled a presentation by Motorola on the 22nd of October regarding life cycle planning, because we all need to be aware of it so we can plan. Put my contact information in. If anybody has any questions, more than happy to entertain them. And with that, I'll entertain any questions from the commission.
Good question, Dan Sol. Scott, is that meeting with Motorola open to anybody or closed meeting? On the 22nd, the presentation.
Dan, my intention is to have anybody that has any kind of stake in this system, of which you considerably with your consoles, is going to be invited to that, and the invitation should be going out shortly.
Thanks.
Scott, I just want to jump in, if you don't mind, Sergeant Corman, stay please. Just so you know, the 22nd is the tail end of the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference up in Boston. That is the last day, so you may have some audience that's not capable of attending due to that.
Thank you, Tim.
Hearing no other questions, thank you, Scott, for your report. Next, we'll move to Network Control Center.
Good morning, everyone. This is Julie with the Network Control Center. Just going to share my screen here. Please let me know once you have it.
See it.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name is Julie Gatson. I am with Adesta. We are a contractor for DSB, DSET, CTS, any of the acronyms you'd like to throw out there today. We've been working with the team here for many years. So over the last couple of years, we have taken on the help desk responsibilities for DSET. And so I'm just going to give a little bit of an update of what we've got going on. We've been working with, we noticed that there were some issues in ways that the carriers send out outage notifications. So we worked with AT&T directly to help aid in their communications. And then we are also hoping to make some progress with the other carrier protocols through the assistance of the FCC, because this is actually a nationwide thing and that does not just affect Connecticut, but I think the way that we're set up by having all of those communications come through the NCC and then out, we see those areas of issue first. So we've actually been on the front line of being able to help make those changes. So that's something we're continuing to work on. We will be assisting with the notifications for the PSTN network refresh. We're working with DSET and the folks over at BITS for those. I don't have a time frame on that at this time, but once they're ready to begin that work, those notifications will be coming out from the NCC the same way they do for any sort of CLMRN radio network updates. And then we just like to do that friendly reminder of DSET is encouraging that all 911 related issues be reported into the DSET Network Control Center as opposed to reporting directly to AT&T. The reason that we want to do that is it actually gives DSET a lot more insight as to what's going on in the network. We've been able to identify some larger scale issues because they came into our center, as opposed to if they went into AT&T, who's much larger, they may not be able to put those pieces together as quickly. So there's just something that we ask. A couple of little highlights I wanted to add on here too, which they're not physically on here, but kind of parlay with what Scott was talking about in regards to all the things that are getting updated on the radio network. We are also doing microwave dish refresh that's going on right now as well. So those are maintenance windows that folks will be seeing, as well as upgrading the routers for the microwave network. So there's a lot of work going on the back end of the system to help improve that capacity and resilience. So all great things that are going on there. As most people love to see, here's your statistics that we have for the system. We had, I believe, 235 tickets over the last quarter that related to 911. And this is just a breakout by location for all of those tickets. So you can see a number of those related to DSET, and those might have been planning and maintenance, et cetera. And then Troop F looked to be a little busy this time. And this information will get sent out to you guys so you can look at it in further detail. The other thing we do is we break it out by ticket type. So again, the 235 tickets, the majority of the tickets related to the NG911 applications. You can also see hardware and maintenance or other big portions of that. We continue to review those tickets regularly to see, there's 16 tickets that are kind of in the other queue right now, that they're not clearly identifiable, and that sometimes it's just a matter of us following up with AT&T to find out exactly what their resolution was to the issue so that we can better qualify that ticket and categorize it. Any questions with any of the datas or stats that you see there? Okay, hearing nothing, I'm going to go on. So we had Stan touched on this earlier. We had a really cool win. When we started taking over the DSET help desk stuff, one of the things that we did is Stan approached us and said, listen, we have all this rapid deploy data. I'd really like to take that and create some analytic reports so that I can just kind of see what's going on day to day and just, make sure that things are in line and they're trending properly. So we've put those in place for him, and we spend, we update those daily. And Stan was actually, through that information, able to identify the trouble with the large number of unknown calls coming through, and was able to work with the vendor to get that issue resolved. And again, as he reported during his report, it was not anything that actually affected the call routing or functionality. It was just a reporting factor. But it was just one of those things that without those little analytics and stuff, we would not have been able to identify that. We're not sure how long it might have taken the vendor to see or know that there was a problem. So so that was a real team win for the entire DSET and NCC team. We were very happy about that. And another thing we want to touch base on, we say all the time, listen, we really appreciate your feedback. If you're having any issues, if you have any suggestions, or even if you have compliments, we like those too. But reach out to us, whether it's emailing the NCC, you can email myself, Clayton and team. we like to hear from you because that's how we get better. And I wanted to just share one instance that we had. For those of you that know Doug over at Tolland at TN, he reached out to me and he shared that a lot of times what happens is when AT&T calls the PSAP back regarding ticket issues, the name that they'll have on their ticket is actually one of our NCC operators' names rather than the local PSAP person. And oftentimes it can create some confusion because the PSAP says, oh, we don't know who that is, or we're not familiar with that person. And it creates some unnecessary time on the phone. So based on this feedback, we have updated our protocol to make sure that we are getting that good local contact information. We're relaying that on to AT&T and asking that they ensure that that local contact information makes it to the technician. And then we are asking that you guys please make sure to let your team members know when they're calling the NCC, we do really need a name so that we have a reference point for those technicians to call back. So that's it. We want to thank Doug for that, taking the time to share that information with us and helping us to grow and improve. Here's contact information for any of the NCC admins, myself. Many of you have probably talked with Ernie in the NCC and Colleen, who's our data coordinator. And of course, there's the 24/7 NCC contact numbers into the center as well as the email. Any questions or comments that I can help anyone with? All right, hearing none, I'm going to turn it back over.
Thank you for your report, Julie. Move on to legislation.
Good morning, everybody. It's Carrie. Thank you. We, excuse me, we are working with our agency staff to put forward legislation to increase the surcharge cap, which is defined in our statutes. And right now the cap is at 75 cents. We did try to increase the cap years ago. I believe it was 2012. And we were able to move it from 50 to 75 cents, although we had requested 99 cents, but we were only able to move it to 75 cents. And as you all know, the surcharge rate, while we have the statutory cap, it increases and decreases based on a couple of factors. One is our budget, and the other is the number of access lines. And I say that just to indicate that this is not necessarily an upward projection or in an increase or the rate. It will still be defined as with those factors, our budget mainly, and so that it will continue to go up and down. This year our rate is at 73 cents. We're very close to that cap. Last year it was 68, the year before it was 70. So it'll still continue to do that. It'll fluctuate up and down depending on our budget and the access lines. But we're requesting an increase to $1.50. We'll keep everybody posted to see how this all plays out. My guess is we'll see some kind of increase. I don't know if we'll get the $1.50 that we are requesting, but this covers the increased services, the technology demands. We have our grants and training funds and all the subsidies that we provide have increased with the 2020 regulations that we passed for the funding increases. So we have increased costs. We need to cover them. And the hope is that we can get this passed. Are there any questions on legislation?
Is there any update on the changing the call time answer standard?
So that's a regulatory, and we do have a whole host of regulation changes that we're going to be making. The process is not quick. It's going to take time, and we are working with our agency legal staff to change that standard, as well as a whole host of other things in our regulations. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Carrie. Next we'll move to PSAP grants.
So I'd like to introduce our newest member of our team, Shantana Young, our grants and contract specialist. She's hit the ground running. We've had her, she's attended a number of training sessions. She's gone to our certification training. We've had her working with individual staff to have a better understanding of what everybody does. So happy to have her on board. She's going to be doing, in addition to all the grants and the subsidies, she will be working on a whole host of new initiatives to increase our communications and outreach, specifically with the PSAPs in mind. Our thought is, you know, what can we do better? What can we do? What more can we do for the PSAP? So with that in mind, things like improving our communications, social media. She and Mark Gorka are working on our web page design. So she's been kept very busy, and she's going to give you the grant.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone. So in the first quarter of the 24-25 state fiscal year, 2 regional PCCs were approved for a total of 4 individual capital expense grants for a total of $510,641. The funding supports emergency telecommunications through the purchase of replacements of CAD, RMS software, radio encryption, new paging system, and next-gen interface. The 2024-25 cycle began on July 1st, and applications will be accepted through April 30th of 2025. An updated application is available on our website for those interested, and we hope to receive applications and continue to receive those. So thank you. Any questions, please let me know.
Thank you and welcome aboard. You got your hands full. Next we'll move to PSAP training.
Mark Gorka.
Let me start while I can start while there is good.
So, Mark Gorka, planning specialist, and DSET will be hosting 2 dispatcher training sessions. These one-day courses will be held on Tuesday, November 12th, and Wednesday, November 13th. Training will be facilitated by the Public Safety Group, and it will be held at the Connecticut Statewide Emergency Communications Center, CSEC, located in the Connecticut Police Academy. A link to register online was sent to all PSAP chiefs and directors on September 13th and will be held open for another week. The 2 courses are Crisis Intervention, which will be held on the 12th. This class is designed to provide the attendees with a variety of skills to process some of the most challenging calls and callers. Topics include the basics, calming techniques, customer service, how to diffuse anger, annoying and difficult callers, crisis callers, communication techniques, and much more. The second course, Difficult Callers, will be held on the 13th. This course is designed to teach and arm communications personnel with effective communication skills to not only get the needed information from the caller, but also teach them how to use verbal communication skills to lower emotions and de-escalate the situation. Class sizes will be capped around 25 students, and our goal is to accommodate 1 person from each center that is able to send a dispatcher for training. Seats will be filled on a first-come, first-filled basis, and centers may submit the name of 1 additional dispatcher who will be added to a wait list, and that will be used to fill any vacancies. We continue to work with our peers at DEMIS, Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, to develop a training session for administrators on creating and maintaining a continuity of operations plan, also known as a COOP. Our goal is to host the COOP training in the spring of 2025, and I will have more details at the next E911 Commission meeting. And that concludes my report.
Carrie's just got a couple more comments to that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Mark.
you so much for that. Thank you, Mark. I just wanted to add to this, as part of our initiative to think about what more we can do with the resources that we have. And while we can, we always say we can't be all things to all people. One of our goals is to do whatever we can to provide more training. So in addition to increasing the PSAP training funds, which we did again with the 2020 fund increase, we're hoping to continue to provide minimally twice a year. We'll start with that and see how it goes. Offer up some training opportunities for the PSAP. So this is the first start of it. And I think I expect we'll get really good responses. And it's just another way of us trying to do whatever it is we can to assist the PSAPs. In addition to that piece, part of the communication plan, and I don't know that we have a lot of PSAPs on today or joining us in the meeting. It doesn't appear to be the case. However, I just want to note that part of our communication plan will be certainly for Chanté to be working with the PSAPs and making sure that they are aware of the PSAP training funds, how they can use them, providing some resources, because we hear all sorts of things of why they don't use their training funds. So we'd like to offer up some things for them to think about. We have to be vendor neutral, but we can certainly point them in different directions for resources and avenues for them to think about some training opportunities or training materials so that they're not just letting the training funds just sit there. So that's just another initiative we have for training and trying to help the PSAPs in any way that we can.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Carrie. Next we'll move to telecommunicator certification training.
Good morning, it's Peter Luco from DSET. Regarding the telecommunicator classes, we've had 6 classes so far this year, for a total of 101 dispatchers trained. And we are planning 3 more classes for the remainder of 2024. We're continuing to use the room here at the CSEC for that training, and anticipate the classes will fill up quickly, and we will continue into 2025 with roughly 1 class a month as needed. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Peter. Next we'll move to public safety data and network governance.
Morning, this is John Mastrella from DSET. I'll provide the meeting attendees with the public safety network governance board meeting update. The DSET governance board approved the following 2 applications during our August meeting. One of them was the town of Wilkett. Wilkett requested multiple circuits on the DSET to support their public safety radio system. Litchfield County Dispatch also submitted a request. LCD requested a circuit on the PSTN to provide direct links to Winston PD and Plymouth PD from LCD. This allows LCD to export active computer-aided dispatch pad data to Winston PD's and Plymouth PD's pad from the new next-gen system. Next governance board meeting is scheduled for October 17th. Right now, the board will be presented with 4 PSTN requests to review or vote on. One is from the Ansonia Public Schools / the Police Department. They are requesting use of the PSTN to interconnect the Ansonia PD to the Ansonia Board of Ed. The interconnection will allow the Ansonia Police Department to access the school's network video controllers system to view live recorded video streams have made for any incident response. Quinnebog Valley Emergency Communications Center is also requesting an amendment to an existing request. Quinnebog Valley Emergency Communications is requesting access on the PSTN to provide public safety radio backhaul services between Salem Volunteer Fire Station and Quinnebog to support their regional simulcast radios. Yale University also is submitting a request, and Scott spoke about this earlier, with the Connecticut Land Mobile Radio Network So Yale University is requesting access to the PSTN to support the building out of a 25 radio network site on the Connecticut Mobile Radio Network 4. The radio network also requires connectivity of speed to the 3-4 locations at Southbury and VA Hospital. The city of West Haven also requested a circuit on the PSTN, and West Haven PD is requesting access to the PSTN to support P25 radio operations between the city of West Haven and Yale University's P25 compliant radio. Does anybody have any questions about the governance board? Hearing none, I will move on to the PSTN application status report update. So to date, 221 PSTN requests submitted to the PSTN governance board are in the pre-approval stage or have been approved and are operating on the PSTN. 200 of those requests have been raised, reviewed, and or voted on by the board. All 200 requests have been approved to operate on the PSTN. To date, there are 188 requests operating on the PSTN. There are 10 additional requests awaiting an implementation date or in the process of being implemented, and the remaining requests are in various stages of the connection process. Anybody have any questions on the report?
Thank you, Joe. Next, we'll go to Geographic Information Systems.
Thank you. This is Dan Shia, the GIS coordinator for a DSET. Just want to run through my presentation quick, and then I'll let the GIS office do their update. We continue to do our updates of the 911 GIS data since the last meeting. You know, it's just standard updates. We continue to keep about the same level of address matching with the 911 database that we've had over the past couple months. You know, we're hovering in the 99.5% for all our data, which is really good. It's well above the standard for the country. We continue to update the 911 database that Intrado manages for us. You know, we've done a whole bunch of updates since the last meeting. Continue to support our other agencies and the state police with GIS updates. In fact, one of the big things going on right now, and I didn't mention this in the report, but I wanted to talk about was DOT is doing a big exit renumbering. So they're going from just a numerical numbering, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to mile based, and they're changing all the exits in the state. They've done 395, they've done Route 9, Route 72, but they're doing a couple now, like 384 is being changed right now, and then Route 8 and Route 25 are being changed. So we're changing our exit numbering information that we have for the 911 system too, so that if and when an accident happens on the interstates or the expressways, that we'll have that data up to date so that people know, oh yeah, I'm on exit 12, and they know that that's the new exit 12. We also keep the old information so that if people can get confused or not sure which one it is, we have all the information available. But that's one of the big things we're doing right now. And then we're also supporting the CT alert system with the 911 database mapping for that. And then the only last thing that I have was we will be uploading as I said earlier, the new imagery, the spring 2023 imagery. The state just got the last pile of information that they needed for it to have it complete, and we will be collecting that information hopefully next week, and then I'll be sending it to the vendor. So sometime this fall we will be updating on the 911 workstations all of their imagery to the brand new imagery, which will be really nice. It's really nice. It's 3-inch imagery, so you know it's about that big, every single pixel of data, and it has all the updates to it. So anything that's been built in the past couple of years will be showing up on their imagery. But it's exciting, and can't wait to do that. Any comments or questions from anyone? Hearing none, I'll pass it off. If it's okay, I'll pass it off to Carl Zimmerman from the GIS office to do his presentation. Thank you.
Hi, Dan. Thank you. And sorry about the premature slide deck problem there. Can everyone see the slide deck?
Yes.
Okay. Again, my name is Carl Zimmerman. Alfredo Herrera, who's a GIO for the state GIS office, is also here. And this is a brief update. Our office has been around for a couple of years, and part of the development of that office included the creation of infrastructure and staff, coordination, and then Alfredo's position, which is a GIO, to help provide leadership in the geographic realm. Alfredo mentioned this, but when we were at the NISJIC conference, the discussion on indoor mapping came up, and 11 or 12 states now are using it, especially in the Midwest, particularly for schools. And we just wanted to make sure that should this come up again in Connecticut, that geographic locations and geographic schemas are used for this approach if it occurs in the future. Regarding available GIS data, Dan mentioned that we now have imagery available. This is the final delivery for the 2023. I'll mention this again, but it's not just for ArcGIS machines, it also is for CAD machines. As part of that, there's a true ortho data collection, which I'll show you what that looks like, but that gives you undistorted views of downtown areas, which is particularly useful for emergency management. We're getting elevation data, which is an important product for the new NINA standards, where you have three-dimensional components to 911 calls. And then we're also getting 1.9 million 2D buildings and 3D buildings with that. So these are also data sets that will be very useful for emergency management and 911 applications in the future. On the CT Eco site, you can add the imagery service using a URL. If anyone has equipment where they want to do that, let us know. We can help you with that. Critically, it also includes what's called a web mapping service. And I know some of you use CAD type packages. And so that service is also available on machines that are not ESRI based or software that's non-ESRI based. So it's a universally applicable and loadable imagery service. We have a new data collection for broadband mapping, and new maps will be available on December 1st. More of that to come. Just a little bit about statewide parcels. Statewide parcels are the basis for the smallest geographic unit in the state, and entirely linked to what Dan is doing with addressing. We have a new delivery coming almost immediately that'll update from 23 to 2024. So that's available on our parcel site. Just a quick look at what the two orthos look like. On the left, you see the standard imagery. On the right, you see the sale building in downtown Hartford corrected. And what it allows you to do is to get information within that overhang that you normally wouldn't see. So if you're an emergency management caller, the point that shows up would be actually on the street next to the building, as opposed to on the top of the building. This is examples of our newest imagery. Bradley Airport on the left, the sub base up top, and Stanford on the right. Again, down to 3-inch pixels, and the downtown areas all are true orthos, so they don't have distortion around the buildings, which will be part of Dan's delivery. A few other data sets that are of interest. We have elevation data, as I said, and then 3D buildings, which are on the lower right. And that's a full set for the entire state. With that, I will pass it back with any questions.
Hearing none, thank you for your report. Emergency notification system.
Good morning, Kevin McManus from Everbridge. I serve as the Senior Technical Account Manager for the Connecticut Everbridge project, supporting DSET, Dennis, and every other agency that has to see state emergency management or public safety. So my primary responsibilities include oversight of the CT Alert 911 project as mass notification to the public, the operational organizations for state agencies for employee safety, and the operational organizations within the PSAPs primarily used to notify police officers, emergency responders, and backups to that system notifications. Currently, our statistics, just under 5 million contact records in the CTLR public notification system. We're over the 400 mark of certified dispatchers who can utilize the alert system. In this last quarter, we've added 36 new dispatchers. We've trained more than that, but 36 have received the okay from their agencies to have access to the CTLR system. So that's kind of nice to see over summer months. Year to date, 62 mass notifications have been sent out. Most of them have been around law enforcement related or weather related. We also had another one of those found child, which is kind of that reverse type incident that we've never want to see, where the child is safe trying to locate parents versus the missing child, which escalates to a whole other level going forward. Currently, 13.4 million communications have been sent out of the Connecticut Everbridge system. That's a combination of text messages, phone calls, email, mobile apps. And of course, text messaging and SMS still remains the number one. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of is third-party services, applications that use traditional simple mail protocol to text people. It's going by the wayside. There's been a lot of delays. Handful of carriers are rejecting those telephone number at your carrier addresses. So since we use a VSMPP service, which is a direct connection, we've seen a lot more requests for how can we integrate into Everbridge to send a reliable text message from a source. One of the reasons was a backup to a panic button system in the school district. While they're not going to be the primary receiver of the alarms, running in parallel from their alarm system, we can integrate that directly as a message to the school resource officers and some key personnel, and seems to actually be working faster. Than the alarm company is getting the information back into the center. Primarily on a day-to-day, maintaining and training folks in 911 is the number one, making sure CT alert is updated with the help of the GIS data coming forward. Employee safety right now is a hot topic. How do you notify all your staff or all your employees, whether they're in a building or working remote or coming to a building? That's something that's actively going on. So we have a couple of use cases coming up in terms of how do we integrate mechanic systems into that to let everybody know. Over the summer, we had a handful of special event coverages working in tandem with Dennis. And that's to make sure that the wireless emergency alert system, UVIA, which is accessed through the Connecticut Everbridge platform, was available for immediate use. While we were only on site for one event, that was Pride Month fireworks, we did maintain availability both by 24/7 and by radio, telephone calls, checking with command posts, make sure if they had to do an evacuation of an event, that we had that access to wireless emergency alerts right away. On the top right, we start talking again about the communications PSAPs, work closely with the NCC and of course DSET to make sure that all the contacts in the system, whether it's for PSDN refresh, whether it's a 911 outage, or whether it's availability of CT alert training, making sure that that database is up to date. So if something does have to go out of the system pretty quickly, we have it available. Platform security, with everything that's happening in the cyber world, has jumped to the top. So we have increased the refresh time for passwords across the Connecticut Everbridge system. We have not quite enforced two-factor authentication, but we will see that probably coming in the near future. We just want to make sure that when about one dispatcher needs to draw a circle on the map, that they're not stuck into some kind of endless loop of resetting it to what they on their phone. So it's kind of a give and take, but in terms of users, we're watching for their inactivity, making sure that somebody who hasn't been in the system in a period of time is prompted to log in, update their passwords, otherwise they're going to be locked out. Some of the summer events I mentioned already, Sailfest Ground Running, where we were on site through that. We provided services to the Dream Ride Special Olympics and the Hometown Foundation and the Our Heroes Fund. That was kind of on-site notifications of teams, employees, and safety events. We presented for Dennis. We introduced streamlined workflows using the incident systems for a number of agencies. In terms of community notifications, we're seeing a lot more interest from town CEOs and how do I communicate with my citizens in the blue sky, not just in a critical event. I mentioned the on-site CT alert training coming out of the summer when everybody's been away. So except for the holidays, we'll be ramping that up again. Something that I'm not sure if Dennis was going to mention, but wireless emergency alerts, the Coast Guard has started testing how to use WIA. That's the force message for the cell phone over water, which is kind of a jurisdictional, whose responsibility is it? But we did monitor that to see what the inland impact was, how far that overlap came into the Connecticut shores, and we did report that back to the Coast Guard. Obviously, the big things are storm inundation, planning, secondary notification to backup. Terry was mentioning the cool plans. We recommended a workflow for a 911 center if they had to walk out the door immediately, how they could initiate a plan from an existing template, how you manage your first 15 minutes, or of a situational awareness, what channels to turn to. We had that all built into an emergency plan for them, so any of their managers could do that from the mobile app right as they walk out the door. So I'm happy to share that with anybody. We always talk about the availability and 24-hour support. While I am the dedicated to the state of Connecticut, we've expanded the training to some of my coworkers across the country. Originally, it was just the folks in the Northeast, but we realized recently with everything that happened in the Carolinas and Florida, and the wildfires out west, that I need to make my bench a little bit deeper. So we picked up, if you can see, our Texas, Illinois, and worked with technical account managers, or at least at a minimum familiar with the Connecticut system, should I not be reachable. Along those notes, we did support both Florida and the Carolinas by basically opening a 3-day open Zoom call to any of the communities in the affected areas. If they have difficulty sending messages, instead of technical support, call the 800 number, they would jump on this Zoom call that was staffed by one of the folks on the screen. And all of us have public safety backgrounds. They wouldn't have to go through the, hey, this is so-and-so from the town, and explain why they were doing it. We had that instant availability that we kept on for a number of days. So my information is available there on the screen if there's any questions. Otherwise, that's it, Bobby.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, we'll go to the PSTN retry.
Good morning, everybody. It's Chuck Fuller, DSET, with an update on the PSTN refresh. We've been speaking and talking about it each meeting to give you an update. For last year, we've been rolling out the equipment and standing it up side by side with the current PSTN apparatus, the Cisco product. PSTN will be a Juniper product, and all of our sites, on-ring sites, the main ring sites for the PSAPs were all equipped with the new equipment. And my last notification to you was beginning our pilot testing of the equipment prior to going production. We ran a pilot this summer, and as all pilots do, they afford us the proof of concept on the equipment, the software, and how things are going to work according to what our specifications are. We found some issues, and we're working with Juniper and Anuta, our vendors, to iron out these issues before we move forward. We're looking for some releases that are upcoming, one at the end of October and another one closer to the end of the year. And at that point, we should be back to introducing some more pilot testing to make sure our proof of concept for the network is working correctly before we go into production. Any questions? If none, I think should go on with the next. Okay. Thank you. Just an update on our basic adds, moves, and changes to the landscape. The 100 plus PSAPs we have out in the environment. As you all know, there have been and still will be a lot of moves and changes, new facilities being built around the state and towns and cities. The next upcoming move is Wallingford PD. They have constructed a new facilities, public safety facilities on Barnes Street. And we are looking to move the PSTN and all of the first responders equipment in I would say another month or so. It was originally scheduled for turn up on October 29th, but I think that one should be the last actual move for 2024. And next year, in 2025, we will have Windsor Locks. They're under construction with the new facilities. We moved New Canaan last year into a temporary location while they're renovating their old facilities, old building. And I believe that's scheduled to move back into that location in April of 2025. Brantford PD is also looking to renovate in 2025. Lisbon Fire, which is a secondary site on the PSDN, we call it the CPT platform. We are moving them to a new location, but we have a pushback with the fiber tech in our utility state company, the utility company for the state for approvals, and that licensing for that will probably come in somewhere in December, and we'll be able to move forward with the Lisbon Fire relocation. And since our last update, I know I spoke about our last move, which was Brantford, North Brantford. They moved into their new facilities on Barnes Road in July of this year. That move and transition was successful. That's pretty much it. Any questions or concerns? If none, thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Division of Emergency Management, Homeland Security.
John said you might be a little late. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like he's not here yet. So why don't we skip over that? I can handle the FirstNet update. So we have been using the CRDs. That's the compact rapid deployable devices that were provided to us by FirstNet very successfully. We actually brought one down when we deployed a team of telecommunications engineers to North Carolina, and it worked very effectively down there. So I'm very happy to report that they were actually able to connect to it via their cell phones and make calls while the cellular infrastructure was down out there. And that's pretty much all the updates I have for now. I know they have their, I can't remember the name of their conference coming up. So if anybody's able to attend that, we encourage that. And that's all I have for FirstNet. Any questions?
Thanks, Clayton. Department of Public Health.
Good morning, everyone. This is Raffaella Calciano. I am the director for the Office of Emergency Medical Services at the Department of Public Health. And I did send out with, or Bonnie sent out, I sent Bonnie with the minutes, the report the annual report from OEMS on the data. And it's the collection of emergency medical services data. We are responsible for that under statutory requirement. And the report provides statistics on all the Connecticut EMS calls that are filtered by demographics, which is age, sex, and race, time, and location. The report only reflects what was reported by EMS providers in the electronic patient care reports. And I know you just recently received it. So after you have a chance to peruse, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and you can email me for them. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the update. 988.
Good morning, everybody. Dana Began from the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Good to be here. Good to see you all. So there's not a whole lot of new updates related to 988 since our last meeting. We are continuing to get a steady volume of calls to 988 each month, approximately 4,000 to 4,500 calls each month are coming in to 988. As of August 1st, the hours of operation for chats and texts have been expanded. So United Way is now responding to chats and texts 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Any chats and texts outside of those hours are being responded to by backup call centers throughout the nation. We are getting approximately 200 to 250 chats and texts per month. We are definitely getting more more texts than chats. And as I've mentioned in previous meetings, the acuity of chats and texts are higher than the acuity of voice calls. Other than that, we are also interested in, as much as we can, to try and obtain data from various PSAPs. We don't need to collect data from all of the PSAPs, but if there are certain PSAPs that have data readily available, we are looking to collect numbers around call volume for individuals who are experiencing mental health and substance use crises. So any type of mental health or behavioral health related calls to 911, we are definitely interested in what that volume looks like. And as we prepare to think about down the road, if there were to ever be any type of 988 and 911 interoperability, meaning the potential of transferring a call from 911 to 988. If it was a behavioral health related call, we are interested in trying to determine what that volume would look like so that we can determine the resources that would be needed to handle that volume should that happen. Other than that, United Way is continuing to answer calls within 97% of calls within 10 or less seconds, which is a very good statistic. It's one of the top statistics in the country. And again, approximately 94% of all calls that come in to 988 are resolved telephonically. Approximately 5% get transferred to a mobile crisis team, and 1% or less end up with an active rescue, which is police, fire, EMS. So we're very pleased with those statistics. And that's about it related to 988, but happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you. Appreciate the update.
Mary, did you raise your hand? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Dana, thank you very much. I would like to work with you and to consider some PSAPs to talk to and get some volunteers. And we want to, kind of a cross section of large PSAPs, small PSAPs, et cetera. And the three disciplines, EMS, police, and fire, and reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to volunteer to start tracking some of this. So I will reach out to you so we can start looking at that and move that forward, because I do think that would be helpful for both of us.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. Moving on, new business. Any new business? Okay, there's a second chance for anybody in the public wishing to make a public comment. Hearing none, and John's still not on, right? So-
He's here.
Oh, no, for Demas.
Oh, no, John,
Okay.
Bob is still on.
All right, thank you very much. Can I have a motion for adjournment? Sure. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second by Raffaella Calfano.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.